And welcome, everyone. Welcome to Talking Pinheads, one day of the week where we get to talk about where the hell we want. So yes, I know it's been eventful. Apparently, there's been a few characters that are still trying to raise a bunch of hell in terms of what's been going on, like certain people from DC. But we all know one of them is basically a liar. The other one apparently is, on another plane of existence as far as other people are concerned in his own mind. But if you want to talk, if we all want to talk about him, if anyone wants to come on in, let me show you. The link is right there. So anyone wants to come on in, we can. And just to further remind everyone, this is an open mic stream. So I'm really gonna sell it to you. Apparently, a certain thing also has gone on in Washington, but to let everybody know is not what like all the so-called more holier than thou celebrities in Hollywood are touting it to be, and of course, people who are extremely misinformed. All it really does is just give power back to the states. And that's more or less what some laws should be. Some things should be decentralized. If certain states swing a certain way, I mean, if already live in a certain state, I don't think those laws are really those so-called these laws are really going to change. But I know for other like more red states, yeah, it's obviously it varies on who's really gonna like keep them or like repeal them. But it's overall the whole point of it is just repealing at the federal level. So states are back to be allowed to deal with those laws as they see fit. So that's more or less what it's all really about. And that's all I'm going to say on it. It's just really back down to the states again. It's not something that is ratified completely in the Constitution, because if it was something that was in the Constitution, if anything has to be put to the Constitution, it has to be a majority vote, or not really, or it has to be an overwhelming support for it. So that's about it. So, but moving forward, back to a certain person who obviously thinks that he's literally in another universe. We all know who he is. If you haven't, then you're kind of in under a rock. Ezra Miller apparently, again, is on the road and sending out cryptic messages to the authorities about certain things, about where he is, and saying that you can't catch me. Eventually, he's really gonna screw himself over, and eventually he is gonna get caught. So I have faith, hopefully, that they're gonna find him eventually and stop this guy, because the guy clearly has a few screws loose. But then again, so does Miss AH, or Amber Heard does. But there's all I'm gonna really say about that, because I know other like bigger channels than I have pretty much like done this whole thing to death. Okay, let me check your things. Let me tweet this out on Twitter. Sorry, this thing is a little off. Okay, copy. Shut that off. Paste. On. So that's about it. Okay, here we go. Hello, welcome one viewer. The link is right there if you want to join in. Trying to find something else here. All right, this is the second tab. And also, yeah, I know this headset I'm using is just an older Turtle Beach headset I'm using, but hopefully I'm coming in a little more clearer. Oh, there you go. Again, I don't really have much of a conversation starter because, again, there's not really much to talk about without, YouTube descending me down to the bottomless pits of hell, essentially. But as long as I can get somebody else in here to talk with, it actually be a lot better. But anyway, just probably react to some stuff first. Okay. All right, I forgot they don't. No, we're gonna get copyright claim for everything else here. Don't really know what to do. Why not? I'll probably do this really quickly. Give me one moment. Uh, hmm. And to be honest, I don't really know what to do. Hmm. I'll probably show off this video.
Do my eyes deceive me? Are you actually playing a game that's not Halo 3?
Go suck it.
Seriously, what's going on?
Halo 3 was lagging like shit and it made me very sad face, so I quit.
Interesting. Do you think that has anything to do with you downloading over 700 gigs of pornography on here?
No, that's the computer. There's already an Xbox. It's separate, dumbass.
John's hard drive isn't even that big.
Don't worry, I have 2 floppy disks.
I think you'll need a few more than that.
Lol. You obviously know nothing about computers.
What the hell would you do with 700 gigabytes of pornography? That's like 4 months of porn. That is absolutely disgusting.
No, you.
You look like you're having a hard time there.
This game sucks. I've seriously been shooting this gay boss for like 3 hours.
Use your sword, idiot.
Use a melee weapon. Good idea, retard. Piece of shit. Night watch. Very angry face.
You gotta do combos and stuff. Press Y.
No, stupid fucking game.
The old
playing Call
Xbox
of Duty for
dashboard.
them. I'm canceling his stupid download.
Surprise face. No, my sexy thumb.
Yo, anyone got UAV? I've got an airstrike.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, sweet, thanks.
Hot, sweet. I got like 4 kills with that. Chopper time. What's your problem?
Shut up, the face.
Wow, you actually meant that I canceled your point, aren't you? Wanna try Call of Duty 4? Will that cheer you up?
You can shut up the duty for up your ass.
Come on, here, play for a bit.
This gun blows.
You can make your own class if you want. I'm level 38, I think, so you have a bunch of stuff to choose from.
Okay. Are there energy sword?
No.
Sad face, what about rocket launcher?
Actually, yeah, you can give yourself the 2 rocket perk.
I can have more health. Lead. What the fuck is martyrdom?
You drop a live grenade when you die. It's really annoying.
Cool. Can I set this to all 3?
Don't be ridiculous. It's lame enough with just 1.
You just suck. Just avoid it.
That's what they all say.
What do you mean?
The reason it sucks is that almost everyone uses it, which makes it often unavoidable. Seriously, I go to kill a guy and I'm always nervous because there's a 95% chance that I'll hear that grenade sound, and I'm too caught up in the combat to think about avoiding it, so I die, and the guy gets a cheap kill.
Quick, someone call the ambulance.
At least with perks like Last Stand you actually have to work to get your kill.
Oh.
Martyrdom is just stupid.
Cry. More.
Let's say we have our first guest. Welcome everyone. The ultimate master and good friend and a good friend of the Nerdwise podcast. I'm N Fate. Hey Fate, how are you?
Hey, what's up, man?
I'm good. You?
Oh, I'm doing fine, man. I just seen you was on, so I thought I'd come on here, man.
Yeah. You also you also know everything that what's going on with what's your opinion of what's going on with Ezra Miller and of course Amber Heard still trying to raise hell and whatnot.
Ooh, yeah. Is she still trying?
Apparently, I think she's trying. At least her legal. I think even maybe I'm not sure. It's all scattered stuff, but I think her legal team is trying to still discredit John because even then I don't think they even try to reach a settlement or whatever. But we already know. Everyone knows she's lying because I mean, how can you basically believe and say that you're the victim even though you essentially threw a bottle at him at Johnny Depp and essentially cut his finger off? Like, yeah, you're supposed to be the victim in all this, and even then, I think even other people even Cara there's been leaked photos of her with Cara Delevingne and maybe I don't really know, but
Oh,
I know.
yeah. Cara yeah, whatever her name is.
Yeah, apparently. And the whole thing with Ezra Miller still acting like he's literally the god of the universe and wherever that world he's gone to.
No doubt, huh?
Exactly. I just don't. I mean, just like they already. I mean, Warner should already know that they're pretty much backed in a corner now. They pretty much have to replace. They have to pretty much reshoot the whole movie essentially, or
Yeah,
reshoot any pivotal scenes.
yeah. I don't. I mean, they are in a bad situation at Warner Brothers, man. Um, so they decided to back out of Snyderverse, which I mean, you love it or hate it or whatever. That's about all they had. And but they wanted to keep some of it, I guess. And now they're going to have to basically get rid of these characters.
Um. Okay. I figured, and that's the whole thing, though. Yeah, and they did whittle down Amber Heard's thing to only 10 minutes, but
That's
again,
a long
DC's.
time, though.
Yeah, but DC's pretty much been playing catch up with Marvel, but now Marvel's sort of slowing down now, and it's kind of we're all
Yeah,
kind of just done with everything.
you ain't lying.
And apparently, once again, one other last thing is the Kenobi show. I know I haven't really seen Phil's reviews of it, but I already know immediately I haven't bothered with. But just hearing a whole bunch of all the things from it is just this show completely already breaks canon. So,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and of
There.
course, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, it was irrelevant. It was really wasn't worth
Yeah,
bringing
and
up.
of course, even though they showed him getting stabbed in the abdomen at the beginning of the show, so yeah, suddenly also the Grand Inquisitor is back too randomly as well.
Yeah, that's right.
So again, it just further also proves one thing. So lightsabers are basically not lethal anymore. I know, sure. I think you kind of saw a little bit of that with Fallen Order in a way, but
Yeah, and what's
I
up with
only
the back to tanks everywhere, man? They're all of a sudden they're respawn points, huh?
yeah, just look, we already know Vader pretty much has to really has to take a back to back every other thing if we've gone on Rogue One, but seriously, it's we might as well call Star Wars Mortal Kombat essentially because every character can either die and just magically come back somehow.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's no stakes anymore, man. And surprisingly enough, the people that they don't bring back Mace Windu are the ones that are still alive. I at this point don't want Mace Windu to come back because he'll just be coming back broken and lost.
Yeah, because the same thing happened with Obi-Wan, but
Yeah.
I saw a pretty interesting video from this channel called Jen Sarai where he kind of put his 2 cents in. I know he just like many other versus Star Wars versus channels pretty much rejected a lot of how Kenobi is supposed to function in the expanded universe. Let me see if I can find that video. Okay. Here it is. Sure. And now I have to share. Wait, no, that's wrong one. Share screen. And there we go. Okay, and start.
Oh, okay.
Ironically, my first viewing of the Kenobi series on Disney Plus was an overwhelmingly positive experience, but for reasons that had nothing to do with the series. A friend of the household who had already seen it was eager to get my opinion on it, so we had her over for a watch party and binged our way through the first 3 episodes, while a playlist of my videos played in the background on the other television, and we had frequent pauses where I read passages from the Dark Lord trilogy out loud. It was that kind of evening. This will be a bizarre review in that it will be focused largely on how the series depicts Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader, specifically the lightsaber duel that capped out the 3rd episode, and will be structured like one of my Versus videos. As for my general opinion on the series as a whole, on the plus side, I like the production design, Ewan McGregor is bringing his A game, and knowing that it's actually Hayden Christensen inside the armor definitely gives Vader a different feel. But on the other hand, the Inquisitor Reva, much like Ahsoka Tano in TCW, is a superfluous third wheel crowbarred into a storyline that should be focused on Kenobi and Skywalker, while lacking the charisma or likability that made Ahsoka accepted and popular despite that. On a similar note, I view the inclusion of Princess Leia as being analogous to the multiple confrontations between Kenobi and General Grievous in TCW. Even though the context of their dialogues in episodes 4 and 6 respectively make quite clear that these characters have never met, it's never explicitly stated, which is all the excuse Dave Filoni needs to force them together. For my part, I see Filoni's fingerprints all over this production, and find that it is ultimately structured like TCW. Rushed and contrived plots intended to set up for fan service encounters and visuals. For anyone who wants my opinion on the apparent internal civil war within Lucasfilm, I think it's all kabuki theater, a mock conflict between colluding factions analogous to the Clone Wars itself.
pretty mildly putting it, but again, I really think it's all like, again, Kathleen Kennedy's fault, and Deborah Chow really doesn't know Star Wars as much as anyone else doesn't know it.
So from
Right.
the top, where were Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader physically within the 9 BBY time frame? Well, Vader was Vader, a burn victim and quadruple amputee kept alive by cybernetic life support, his prosthetic limbs and heavy armor making him one of the strongest and most durable combatants of his era despite his precarious state. Basic movement requires that he channel the dark side constantly, but fire is no deterrent to the Dark Lord. As for Kenobi, the series gets right that he's a relatively spry 48-year-old, but that he's still aging out. What the series gets wrong is his lifestyle. Ben Kenobi wasn't a menial laborer who buried his lightsaber. He was a self-sufficient hermit who stayed on top of his exercises. But
That's what
as
I'm
in the
saying.
series, Vader's physical dominance over him is unquestionable. For this reason, Kenobi is right to run against Vader, provided that he's simply using hit-and-run tactics, not the blatant cowardice on display in the Kenobi series. What's depicted on screen is a broken man resigned to his duty and unwilling to take any direct action without someone twisting his arm, and whose character arc basically boils down to him rediscovering his sense of purpose, but in defense of the other twin. The original depiction of old Ben Kenobi's tenure as Luke Skywalker's protector in the expanded universe presented a Jedi Guardian reinventing himself as a Jedi Consular in response to both his advancing age and the lack of serious external opposition necessary to keep himself on his toes as a duelist. Other than his single lightsaber duel against Asherad Het, Kenobi only involved himself in local conflicts with the Tusken Raiders and Oren Galt's gang, otherwise keeping a low profile, his formidable skill maintained solely by his exercises. And in contrast to the on-screen Kenobi, who turns away fellow Jedi fugitives while denying his identity, Kenobi's one excursion off of Tatooine in Legends was to assist his fellow Jedi fugitive, Ferris Olin, whom he subsequently hosted as a house guest. As for Vader, I noticed that the series depicted Vader's conduct similarly to Scene 38 reimagined, with Vader fighting more aggressively and showing off his more dynamic range of techniques. Oddly enough, I have no problem with Vader's more unrestrained and sadistic temperament in this fight, especially given that he's only had 10 years to get over Mustafar rather than 20. By the time of the Galactic Civil War, Darth Vader had developed into a cagey defensive fighter, relying on psychological warfare and environmental combat tactics to wear down and box in his adversaries.
Can we pause it right there?
An aggressive stance at the 11th hour.
Hang on, sorry. Yeah.
So, what do you think? Like, I'm sorry, I just wanted to bring this up while I'm thinking about. What do you think about what he was saying right there? How Vader, I guess what he's basically saying is more stiff in the OT, but in my mind, or in my opinion, they really didn't have much fight choreography, and he was a guy walking around in a suit, so you really couldn't bring out the type of fight choreography that they could actually bring out if they wanted to now.
Yes, exactly, and that's the whole thing. That is from a production standpoint. Yeah, it makes a lot more sense because
I see a lot of people bringing that out as an excuse, like, well, the reason why Vader doesn't move fast is because he's so far removed from all, and he's in this machine, and I'm like, actually, he should be moving around like General Grievous. Like if they did a reboot, in my mind's eye, I see him like extremely able to use his robotics, to a certain extent, like really good. That's my
yes, it would be. But also the thing is, Palpatine purposely made Vader's cybernetics very cumbersome for him to walk around with. Even like I said, he even had to channel the dark side just for basic movement as well. But I know again, he literally can't. But I mean, even though also what we've seen with him in Fallen Order, he literally was able to warp the entire room around him through sheer willpower on the dark side. Woo. And all Cal had to do was just run away because there was no way you could ever match up and fight Darth Vader head to head because he would have messed him up easy.
That's crazy.
But yeah, the whole point of it though is that using using those tactics of like what he used against Luke in Episode 5, just tossing a whole bunch of things around, tossing a whole bunch of objects at him to disorient him. It does make a lot of sense for like good psychological manipulation.
Sure.
But another thing that would be this. Okay, I think I lost my train of thought on that. But moving on here.
Okay.
Sorry.
Ironically conducting himself much like Obi-Wan Kenobi in his prime. But as depicted in stories such as The Rise of Darth Vader or the Purge anthology, Vader did not master his rage overnight and was forced to endure several major defeats and setbacks before he learned to keep a cool head. And even then, he was still occasionally prone to arrogance. Despite everything, new canon has actually been extremely kind to Vader, depicting a physical powerhouse who consistently dominates his opponents and drives the action. With all that being said, the series still overplays Vader's dominance over Kenobi. Old Ben isn't that old yet and wouldn't be that far gone after only 10 years, while Vader is still 10 years away from his own height of power during the Galactic Civil War. I will concede that the series jumps through all the necessary hoops to justify Vader telekinetically ragdolling Kenobi by turning Obi into a weak, fearful man whom Vader effortlessly intimidates. Apparently, being Luke Skywalker's stalwart protector was not enough to keep Kenobi on his game, and he needed Leia to reawaken his powers. If anything, the literary version of Kenobi became steadily more powerful during his exile, meditating on the light side to become a Force spirit and relying on his enhanced perceptions and Force attunement to guide his decisions. By the time of Episode 4, he was constantly using subtle applications of power to navigate situations and distract potential enemies, operating as a light side Darth Traya. Not to overstate Kenobi's power, but I think there was a reason for why Vader never attempted any telekinetic attacks on board the Death Star. Though that's not to say that Vader's telekinesis wouldn't come up at all. He was beating people down with thrown objects as early as Kashyyyk. As I already said, I will concede that the series jumps through all of the necessary hoops to justify Kenobi's weak performance within the context of the narrative, but I seriously disagree with the narrative. Why would Obi-Wan Kenobi continue to serve as Luke Skywalker's watchdog if he had truly fallen so far off the wagon that he required an encounter with Leia to rediscover his sense of purpose and reawaken his powers, since that would mean that he was no longer capable of serving as an effective Jedi trainer? Secondly, why would a menial laborer who is still part of society be ignorant of the continued existence of Darth Vader? Kenobi did learn Anakin Skywalker's Sith name before confronting him on Mustafar, and Vader was a central figure in Imperial propaganda. What everyone forgets is that old Ben Kenobi did grapple with personal issues after what happened to Anakin, and never truly forgave Anakin until he was literally on the ground dying. And despite his own baggage and the need to keep a low profile, Kenobi was never inactive. A loose adaptation of the Desperate Mission and Dark Warning entries from the Last of the Jedi YA series, supported by the internal monologues from The Life and Legend of Obi and the J.J. Miller Kenobi novel, would have created a storyline that hit all the same beats, while also being more respectful to the characters and the setting. Reva is a superfluous third wheel in what should be a Kenobi Skywalker storyline. Making this a Kenobi Skywalker storyline undercuts their final confrontation in Episode 4, and including Leia contradicts the films and raises all sorts of questions. As to the question that I made this video to address, how would Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader actually stack up against each other within the time frame of 9 years before the Battle of Yavin? Well, it would be the same balance of advantages and deficiencies on both ends as in their penultimate confrontation the year of, but the actual gap between them would be a lot smaller. Kenobi's physical capabilities and lightsaber skills wouldn't be nearly so far gone after only 10 years, and he was still quite formidable at the end. Vader isn't quite so cold and disciplined as he will be down the road, and he is still recovering his strength in the Force after Mustafar. Where Vader is still 10 years away from his actual height of power, my firm contention is that Kenobi's power has been growing steadily since Revenge of the Sith. Do I actually think that he is equal to or greater than Darth Vader at this point? No. But is he close enough to pose a serious threat to Darth Vader at this point? Yes. Though it would still be the same grinding war of attrition as their actual final fight, a battle between Vader and Obi-Wan at this point would be more dynamic and drawn out, resembling Vader's duels with Rowan Shrine on Kashyyyk or Luke Skywalker on Bespin. Vader would not be able to achieve the clinical dissection he performed on board the Death Star. He would be forced to go all out, and you would not get the embarrassing curb stomp on display in the third episode of Kenobi. As of this recording, the final episode is not dropped yet, but from all indications, it looks like the rematch will be much stronger. But at the end,
even though that he already did show a few clips from that final battle with Obi-Wan just tossing a whole bunch of rocks at him.
Yeah.
Again, also, are we sure you know who is not actually was originally supposed to be related to him somehow, some way? If she can do the exact same, if he can do the exact same thing, it just kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and also too, like what I was saying too earlier, like he was talking about how he didn't think that Obi-Wan would be so depleted on his abilities as a Jedi, and that's easily proven by Rebels, which happens 15 years after the Clone Wars, and when he took out Darth Maul in 3 seconds flat.
Yeah, exactly. So again. And I know, but then again, he pretty much did. Again, Maul has been doing nothing but like wanting to mount revenge against Kenobi for years after his defeat on Naboo. And it's just like, again, how that duel is actually taken from an actual another comic that technically is non-canon, but it is thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah.
Let me look it up.
There's a very good sort of samurai style take on a clash or a just a few moves. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Now let me share the screen here. Let me share a screen here. And there we go. Now, this is actually a truly good dramatic reading of this comic.
Now, when's this set?
I think this is set I think Luke was barely a little boy, I think. So probably maybe
5,
3 or 4.
Another day has passed on the desert world of Tatooine
or
as the moisture farmers make their way back to their homesteads. Owen Lars takes his 3-year-old nephew, Luke Skywalker, outside to watch the setting suns. It is these quiet moments that Owen cherishes most. He swore long ago that he would keep his nephew safe, and he intends to keep that promise for as long as he has to. Suddenly, as if from out of nowhere, Owen notices a faint rumbling in the distance, as if a bantha stampede was racing through Beggar's Canyon. Taking out his binoculars to investigate, Owen is shocked to see a mysterious figure draped in black, sprinting towards his home at an alarming speed. Recognizing trouble when he sees it, Owen calls for his wife Beru to take Luke and to give him his rifle. As the mysterious figure closes in, Owen warns him that if he doesn't stop to the count of 3, he will not hesitate to shoot. However, the figure continues his stride, as though he didn't even hear the moisture farmer's warning. Foregoing the full 3 count, Owen fires his rifle, but the stranger leaps into the air at impossible speed, avoiding the bolt. Before Owen could fire another shot, the cloaked man reaches out with his hand, and then, to the farmer's surprise, his gun is yanked from his hands by an unseen force and carried into the stranger's awaiting grasp. He then proceeds to brutally smash into Owen's head, breaking the butt of the gun and putting the farmer down. As Baru screams for her now only semi-conscious husband, the cloaked figure discards the rifle and slowly approaches her and Luke like a predator closing in on its prey. A cool voice drips from his unseen mouth, claiming that what he had learned was true, and that, in his own words, there is a son. Whoever he is, this being is somehow aware of Luke's secret parentage, which in turn could have dire consequences for the rest of the galaxy. Mere seconds after the shocking words had left his lips, the stranger stops in his stride towards the hapless Baru and looks out into the distance, as if he had suddenly become aware of something previously unseen. Looking out into the wastes, the cloaked being notes that a heart had quickened pace in response to his words, and that he is now aware of someone else hiding nearby.
Awesome.
Speaking directly to the unseen observer, the stranger notes that he had missed him on Camino by 2 days. He was a day behind him on Geonosis. 3 years later, he had come across a corpse on Mustafar and actually thought he might have been him, but was relieved to see that it was not. Continuing with his tale, the cloaked marauder notes that while the mute runts at Paulus Mesa were the least satisfying lives he had ever taken, their medical logs were worthwhile. Finally making his way to Tatooine, an old junk dealer choked up a name before the stranger separated him from his greed.
Wow.
Yep. He even killed Watto.
The hooded being finishes by saying that he knew that if he found the boy, he would come. A new voice, clipped and calm, echoes off the sand, asking the stranger if Palpatine knows of his being here. In a fit of annoyance, the stranger tells the onlooker that he does not, that there is no Palpatine, no Empire, no Jedi. There is no light, no dark, just him and the onlooker, here and now. The onlooker responds to the challenge, saying that they could do this for old time's sake, but warns the stranger that he was a Padawan back then. And with the speed of a Gorelian ghost viper, Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi bursts out from under the sands, boldly claiming that this time, the cloaked attacker won't heal clean. Eager to face the Jedi Master, the mysterious stranger rips off his cloak, revealing himself to be the Sith apprentice, Darth Maul. Having somehow survived being cut in half by Obi-Wan many years ago on Naboo. Brandishing a new, curved, double-bladed lightsaber, Maul hurls himself at Kenobi, determined to cut him down. Pinning the Jedi Master in place with his cybernetic legs, Maul remarks that during that day in Theed, he fell so far from what he had once been. He tells Kenobi that when he came to rest, all he could see was him. But he rose from his ruin to find himself greater, and all the days since have been to Obi-Wan's end. Breaking from the Sith Lord's grasp, Kenobi easily avoids the Zabrak's counter and proceeds to take the fight to him. When their blades met, Kenobi could see the pure, unadulterated hatred etched into Maul's features. And Maul could see Kenobi's unyielding determination. The world fell away, and in that moment, it was just the two of them. Just Darth Maul and his rage, and Obi-Wan Kenobi and his calm. Winner take all. Pushing their locked blades aside, Kenobi made a slashing motion with his free hand, and in an astonishing display of strength, severed two of the Zabrak's horns from his scalp. Stunned by the force of the blow, Darth Maul backed off. Seeing an opening, Kenobi took a reverse grip on his lightsaber and leapt at the Sith Lord. Regaining some of his footing, Maul attempted to counter the Jedi Master's attack, but it was too late. With but a flick of his wrist, Obi-Wan severs Maul's left arm from his body and continues his strike through the Zabrak saber staff, splitting it in two. Crying out in pain, Maul kicks Kenobi in the chest with his metal legs, sending the Jedi crashing into a parked speeder. Desperate to continue the fight, Maul calls one of the halves of his damaged weapon to his remaining hand, igniting the...
I'm sorry, I had to stop there for a second, but we also have another person in the chat with us right now in the backstage.
Okay.
Bring with us also here with us now the ultimate master and ultimately Bill TMNT's arch nemesis, the Fell.
It is.
Hello. I didn't want to interrupt story time, but just wanted to pop in and say hi, everybody.
Hey.
All right, well, welcome.
It is the arch enemy. It is Phil's arch enemy.
Indeed. And also Dr. Vandenberg's confidant as well.
Okay.
The blade and spinning around, ready to charge. But he stops cold when he sees what's before him. Obi-Wan Kenobi, who had recovered faster than Maul had expected, was standing before him with the hilt of his lightsaber mere centimeters away from Maul's face. Kenobi hesitated. Maul was at his mercy. With but a flip of a switch, he can put an end to the murderous crusader once and for all. The Zabrak knew of Luke. He couldn't allow him to remain at large, but to end him in cold blood, this was not the Jedi way. Obi-Wan recounts just how much pain not only Maul had caused him, but how much pain everyone around him had suffered. Mentors and friends killed, innocents broken, brothers turned into killers, and all because Maul's kind was allowed to flourish unabated. Darth Maul tensed in fear. Kenobi's thumb wavered precariously over the activator. A blaster bolt ripped through the air. Darth Maul's body landed on the sandy ground with a thud. Owen Lars, smoking rifle still in hand, approached the Jedi Master. As the two men...
Yeah. So Owen is the one that puts down Maul, not Kenobi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and this is honestly why I know, even though technically this is technically this is technically supposed to be non-canon, but it's so well done.
It is. It's got a way better.
Well, I was gonna say this is so much better than anything Disney has put out so far. So hey,
men stood over the Sith Lord's corpse. Kenobi tells Owen that he will take Maul's body out to the Dune Sea and burn it, to ensure none learn of what has transpired.
I'm gonna cook him.
Without averting his gaze, Kenobi asks if he is okay. Owen tells him that he promised the Jedi Master that he would keep Luke safe, and he will, even if that meant from Kenobi himself. Owen orders Kenobi to never come back to his homestead, ever again. As the Lars family make their way back to their dwelling, the Jedi Master briefly locks eyes with the child he too had sworn to protect. Gathering up the corpse of his old enemy, Obi-Wan Kenobi sends one final telepathic message to the young boy, assuring him not to worry, for he would always be there, even if Luke couldn't see him. Always.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I mean, it is really something that is a sight to behold in terms of how climactic the battle is. And I know it turns out this story actually really did sort of inspire how Maul looked in the Clone Wars show.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how it all goes. But what we're about to get into a little bit after this, it really kind of goes deeper into the analysis of why, and also gives a little more credence to what kind of stuff of how like Owen's feeling toward Ben Kenobi in the original trilogy coming up right here.
This is cool, man. I like this.
Yeah.
Roughly 3 weeks ago, shortly before the release of The Force Awakens, my friend Jen Sarai posted a video on his channel entitled Star Wars: The Expanded Universe Fan Perspective.
Yeah, and that is one of Jen Sarai's biggest videos. That I know when people even like one of the comments of the Kenobi analysis video that I just showed beforehand, I wanted to put out a comment and actually link that video of giving his opinion about the whole thing, because there are certain things that have been somewhat retconned based on what Disney has taken up and just like reworked it into their new canon, which again is like where you see it as a good or a bad thing, which I'm pretty sure some people don't really see it in a very positive light.
In it, Connor gave his opinions on a multitude of topics ranging from the retconning of the EU, the importance of the films in relation to the Star Wars universe, and the management of past continuity and new material. As is to be expected when one makes a sort of draw the line in the sand kind of video, you'll have people chomping at the bit to share their opinion on the same topic. Addressing my comment on the video, I stated, among other things, my belief that a work of fiction's canonicity shouldn't be a factor in one's overall enjoyment. With the story Old Wounds released within Star Wars Visionaries being a prime example as far as this line of thinking is concerned. One of the replies to this comment was a user going by the name Xavier Ford asking me to do a video on the Old Wounds comic. And with Versus Series Season 5 officially ending, I thought now would be as good a time as any to talk about this relatively well-known story. As I think I've made quite clear, the story Old Wounds by Aaron McBride, who newer fans may know as the illustrator for the cover of Star Wars Lords of the Sith, is one of my favorite Star Wars short stories, despite its somewhat silly premise and position as a non-canon story. I have always had an interest in the mind and human relationships. In fact, I may or may not be pursuing a psychology major in the near future. And what I feel this story does better than many full canon works is giving us a look at the relationships between certain characters and why they act the way they do. Owen Lars in A New Hope and several other tie-in works is seen as this stern parental figure who keeps Luke on a pretty short leash, wanting him to have nothing to do with the Jedi or the rest of the galaxy. However, in Old Wounds, we see that Owen's mindset stems from an unyielding desire to protect Luke from harm. He has seen what Anakin is like when he's angry. He knows what his stepbrother turned into. And in this story, we see him experience firsthand the kind of destruction Force wielders are capable of. With all this happening around him, it's really little wonder
Oh,
What
you
did you say?
muted? No. Oh, I
Yeah,
was just
sorry,
saying
sorry.
that when Darth Maul broke that rifle stock over Owen's face, man, that was awesome.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. But again, seeing that it's Owen that takes down Maul rather than Kenobi is also pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Owen grew to be so resentful of Kenobi and, well, Force wielders in general, which makes his decision to keep Luke's true parentage from him a little more understandable. The dichotomy between Obi-Wan and Owen is also very interesting. You can tell that these two respect each other, at least to a modest degree, but their personal viewpoints on, well, everything are so diametrically opposed that really the only thing that they have in common is their love for Luke. Kenobi's little brush with the dark side, if you can even call it that, is also handled beautifully. As he holds his saber to Maul's face, you can really see the conflict going through his head. That one panel depicting everyone he's ever loved in pain really goes to show how much sorrow this guy has endured. The scene really does leave you wondering whether or not Obi-Wan would have pressed that activator had Owen not interfered. Even the relationship between Darth Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi is given some interesting insight. Darth Maul has never been a very complex character. He's a blunt instrument whose entire personality revolved around unyielding obedience to his master. That's it. As such, him devolving into an unstable basket case, utterly consumed with revenge after being cut in half, really does feel like a natural progression of his character. Not only did Kenobi rob him of his legs, he robbed him of his chance to destroy the Jedi Order alongside his master. The singular goal that defied Maul's entire reason for being. When Maul declares that there is no Palpatine or Empire or Jedi, I see this as being symbolic of him having no more purpose in his existence. Revenge is the only thing Darth Maul wants, because revenge is the only thing Darth Maul can ever have in a galaxy that has passed him by. And deep down, I think he knows it. Many criticize the story for having Owen Lars be the one that puts down Maul for good, but I actually see this as a pretty fitting ending for him. Another aspect of Darth Maul's character is that this guy is nowhere near as good as he thinks he is. Sidious never intended Maul to be his successor or a true Sith Lord. He only trained him so he could have someone to carry out the covert missions that he himself could not due to his position as a senator. Darth Maul wasn't, nor was he ever intended to be counted amongst the legendary Force wielders of his time. And therefore, him getting killed not by a powerful Jedi Master, but a lowly moisture farmer is pretty symbolic of the character as a whole. Moving into aesthetics, the resurrected Darth Maul design has gone on to become arguably the most well-known aspect of the Old Wounds story, spawning legions of fan art, action figures, a few ambitious cosplays, and even standing as a direct inspiration for the design of the rehabilitated Darth Maul in TCW. The story also gets extra points for giving us an accurate depiction of how a 1v1 no-holds-bar fight with Darth Maul and Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi would play out.
Compared to how it fared in Rebels, this actually really felt like a titanic duel between them. Sure. And again, it really sort of it cuts out all the stuff that happened during the Clone Wars. It's just like Maul just has been scouring the galaxy trying to hunt down Kenobi and kill him.
Yeah,
And
because they said like they said it makes sense that he was never like, even George Lucas has been quoted saying that I literally had him cut in half so they would not bring him back. I designed him to show that there is a sort of an apprentice place for Vader to eventually fill that void.
yeah, and that's how it all
So,
played out, because that's the whole thing.
so
Palpatine
he didn't
always
take
knew
him
that.
serious. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was the whole point. He was, no one was taking him seriously. Even though I personally find Darth Maul amazing, like, at least bad in a badass sense as a Sith warrior, but yeah, he basically met his downfall simply because he got too arrogant. He just reveled in gloating in his victory over Obi-Wan, but just slashing his saber at him. But then he obviously but then Obi-Wan used the Force, and then we already know what happens next after that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much how it all goes.
Yeah.
Maul is definitely a threat to Kenobi and is more than capable of scoring a few hits, but he is ultimately fighting a battle that he has no hope of actually winning. In conclusion, Old Wounds to me is the ultimate counter-argument to anyone who says that a story's relevance to a fictional universe is dictated by its canonicity. Here we have a story that does so much right and adds so much to the characters involved, yet it was intentionally written to be nothing more than a brief, non-canon piece in a time where the classic EU was still going strong. Canon should, at the end of the day, be what you make of it, not what some author or company says. It doesn't matter what you were introduced to first or how you went about exploring the Star Wars universe. The films hold no more relevance than the books and vice versa, because such opinions are completely subjective. Knowing that it was non-canon didn't make me enjoy this story any less when I first read it back in 2005, and I don't enjoy the classic EU any less after the recent retcon. Old Wounds is much more than a simple 11-page story of revenge. It is a tale of redemption, of the bonds of family and the promises we make to those we love. It shows us the consequences of obsession and how certain characters came to be the way they are. In this story, we truly see the dangers of living in the past. For a past filled with pain can lead to a future wrought with misery.
And that is why Old Wounds is really good, and just his whole explanation of it is absolutely amazing. So anyone out there watching, go subscribe to Evanova95. He does a lot of amazing Star Wars Versus videos. Amazing guy. I would love to have him on Talking Pinheads, or hell, just have him on and talk about just Star Wars lore in general. So yeah, there you go.
Pretty cool stuff, man.
Exactly. But I mean, it also gives a lot more credence to the whole thing with the whole Kenobi show. Like, the only way Leia would simply know about who Obi-Wan is simply through her father, Bail Organa. And that's the only reason, not because he actually talked and interacted with her when she was very young, which really just breaks canon completely. But that's something that Disney's been doing a lot in the last several years.
Oh yeah, and then introducing other characters, using legacy characters as a vehicle.
Exactly.
I like that story, and also I looked it up. It's 13 pages. Definitely gonna have to feature that sometime on Nerdwise if we ever get that back up and running.
Yeah. You should try to get that book, Star Wars Visionaries. It really does seem like it's something that really is worth a good read. I mean, I only hope it's still in circulation, but given how much Disney wants to say if we don't like something, we're just every istanphobe in the book. Well, guess what, Disney? Then I definitely am myself. But I'm a person, and I think Reva's a bad character. Second sister from Fallen Order was more competent than she was, and because her story was more well done. And
Right.
and I guess there goes Spell.
Uh-oh. We lose Spell.
Yeah,
the fail.
Yeah, let's hope. I hope he might come back. Let's just wait.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at. Let's see. They've been responsible for some of the most dazzling and awe-inspiring visuals ever put to film. Now, the concept artists behind Star Wars prequels are bringing their considerable talents to comics, just in time for Star Wars Episode 3. The wildly gifted mind of the Lucasfilm art department, visual effects powerhouse, Industrial Light and Magic, come together to tell their own Star Wars tales in the compilation of short stories. Given free reign to explore any and every aspect of Star Wars universe, each artist offers. Oh,
welcome back, Phil.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Something went wrong with my setup here.
That's okay. All right, continue, Fate.
Given free reign to explore any and every aspect of the Star Wars universe, each artist offers a new twist or deeper view into that galaxy far, far away. Nowhere else will you find more pure or more different look at George Lucas's enduring creation than through the eyes of Star Wars visionaries.
Wow,
that's cool.
Now that's
cool, man.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's about $44 on Amazon.
Ooh, okay. Now that's something. Yeah, I think you should share. You should share that with Matt and Astro, and everyone who's watching. I'm probably sure you already know who we are. Yeah. Always check out the Nerdwise podcast every Wednesday if they actually get back. I know they've been taking a break from time to time, taking a break recently, but again, it's something they always do, and it's an amazing show always. If you're into comics and whatnot, always check them out.
No doubt. Thanks, man.
No problem. But still, it still is just all the amazing things that we've seen. But I mean, again, it shows that the EU is obviously they tell more greater tales in it.
Yeah, but I love that, and that's also Dark Horse. So,
oh yeah, okay,
I love
the same people responsible for the amazing Dark Empire trilogy, which again, I still think the World Devastators probably are some of the best like Star Wars super weapons we've seen, other than just something that just fires a big laser and blows up a planet.
Yeah, but let's keep in mind, let's not let Disney get a hold of the EU, otherwise it'll be trashed.
Oh yeah.
What more trash than they've already caused for it? And
that's my point. Like, I mean, this stuff that was already written pre-Disney, owning it, is pretty much all the gold that we have left.
Mm-hmm.
That
you know what I mean? And if Disney gets a hold of it and all of a sudden decides, oh, we're going to start making this stuff into Star Wars, since they can't come up with anything excuse me, original anyway. You know what I mean?
Once again, they easily could have just played it safe and just adapted the Thrawn trilogy, or hell, even go and use the Yuzong Bong. They were a powerful, devastating war that they even captured Coruscant, for crying out loud, and tried to terraform it. And it took the combined might of the Imperial remnants and the New Republic to fight them back, and Luke's new Jedi Order that already has been well established by that point.
Yeah.
So
but here we are, and since Disney doesn't have a creative bone in their body right now, same with Lucasfilm.
Exactly.
Yeah, here we are with Kathleen Kennedy saying, "High Republic."
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, Kathy. Here's what I got.
This is having Dr. Vandenberg needs to come out and do a lobotomy on her. I'm sorry. Did I say that out wrong?
I think Vandenberg would definitely agree. Don't Don't you, Doctor? I most wholeheartedly agree. Absolutely. Miss KK must be lobotomized.
It's just one of those things where you don't want to speak so highly of the stuff that we have that hasn't been touched, and because this all came that George Lucas didn't really recognize as canon. Disney hasn't recognized it as canon because they don't want to recognize it. So this is like the truest form of Star Wars that we have left, and yet somewhere down the line, someone from Disney or Lucasfilm is going to be like, "Oh."
But I think the person who has to do all the go ahead through all the canon stuff, I think technically, because I think even though I often thought for a while he was long since fired, but Pablo Hidalgo still is essentially the gatekeeper of like Star Wars canon, which again, that guy is obviously one of Kennedy's allies.
Yeah.
And just like again, I really cannot stand the fact that they're still trying to push all this stuff, all this stuff. Like they want to accuse other people of gatekeeping out of certain communities, and they say they don't want it. But the people who are ideologically driven say, "Oh, what about all the diversity and inclusion?" But once they get in, they say, "Yeah, you're not welcome here. Get out. This is our stuff now."
So the right now with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series just coming out, and I think a lot of the fervency, or most of the fervency, is just for the simple fact that they got Ewan McGregor back, and they got Darth Vader on screen,
and Hayden Christensen back.
Yeah, Hayden Christensen. Yeah, you got 3 legacy characters for sure in this. And 4 counting Luke, and you. So you got all this going on. I think people are just like maybe bought into that, but I just don't see like 10 years from now somebody saying, I feel like watching that Obi-Wan Kenobi series. I don't think it has those type of legs on it. I really don't.
Yeah, it doesn't have this. It wouldn't have the same punch as like I know some people. Again, it's also the same thing where some people say they love her, but the reason why like the Mandalorian was so popular because it had no tie to anything from any of the trilogy.
Absolutely.
It was just its own separate thing.
No, and I said this in a tweet a couple of days ago. I said I'm now that the Obi-Wan series season 1 is over. Everyone has said their piece about it. It didn't turn out so well. I never watched it. I don't plan on watching it. But from the way it sounds, I'm glad I didn't spend the money on Disney Plus to watch it because I probably would have canceled it anyway, and not watched it anyway because it didn't sound like it was a good show to begin with.
Hell, the one show I've been watching recently, and I know I'm pretty much almost done with it because I can't believe that Hulu is gonna take it off in like another week or so. Is Cowboy Bebop, the original show, not the crappy Netflix live action adaptation that obviously looked like garbage the minute it was announced.
Does Netflix now own all the rights to the Cowboy Bebop series?
No, I think they only just make the adaptation, but I know Funimation and Sunrise own the rights to Cowboy Bebop, but I'm not sure where you're gonna have to find it again because I know Hulu is, like I said, Hulu is going to take it off, but I want to really just like, again, I've been really enjoying the series. One episode I watched earlier today, it was like one where Spike takes on a almost nigh indestructible assassin that's like some big some big broiled like aristocratic looking dude who's pretty much indestructible, and he was enhanced or something, and it like drove him crazy, and he fights him like some really some total mind screw up of a freaking space amusement park. But it was a really weird and insane trippy episode in a way, but it was really good. Again, the show so far is great. The animation is like top notch. And it's like one of the best animes out there. I know, and other people will say other shows like Evangelion, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, and me, I still think one of the most pinnacle, another great pinnacle of anime is anything Studio Ghibli's come out with, Akira, and of course, one series I firmly love is Super Dimension Fortress Macross or Robotech.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing too: the original stuff, anything that has original ideas and original content behind it is always going to be the best. Anything that you try to remake, redo, it is never going to be good because they're taking that idea, they're trying to copy it and make it live action or whatever, and it hardly ever does well. It hardly ever does well.
You know, I was a former addict, and I see these people. They act like addicts. They have no self-awareness, and it's like they keep buying the same drug, thinking it's insanity, right? They think they're going to get a new result or a better result out of this. And we're sitting there screaming at them like, "Hey, stop!"
Yeah, it's fake with gambling. Edge is just a weird crazy hyperactive kid. Yeah. Jet. I think he's the one that has probably the only one who has most of his stuff together mostly, but he still has his hangups from time to time, and a lot in their past, and most of their past have come back to haunt them.
Well, what's the biggest thing? What's the biggest definition that we come up with right now? Insanity is literally the definition of repeating the same mistake over and over again and expecting a different result.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's what we're seeing across the board right now.
Yeah,
in entertainment across the board.
Yeah, they keep doing the same thing. It's all predictable.
And here's something that I thought was really prophetic from, and spoiler alert if anybody hasn't seen this week's episode of The Orville yet.
I haven't.
Okay, then I won't say anything.
Well, I know I have watched it, but since Fate hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Fate hasn't seen it yet.
I'll tell you what. Just flash your mute on and off when you're done. I'm gonna get off my headphones. Go ahead.
Okay. So, Jess, you've seen it.
Yeah, okay, this week's episode. Yeah.
So, Jess, you've seen that. Now, think about the fact that they taped this about maybe 2 or 3 years ago since the pandemic started, right?
Yeah.
Think about what just happened yesterday, about 36, 40 hours ago, with the overturning of Roe versus Wade.
Yeah, I know. I kind of briefly talked about that, but I wasn't going to go into it. But all I know is that it's only really going to just like give those rights of abortion and leave it up to the states. Really, that's all it's really going to do.
Right. But do you see where I'm going with it? How prophetic that episode was, and the timing of it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You see what I'm saying about it?
I like the idea that the Krill are very surprisingly pro-life.
Yeah, and I sat there and I watched it with my wife yesterday, and we were just like, "Holy shit! How perfect timing is this episode?" And they probably filmed this episode 2 years ago. You know what I mean? It's just, and they didn't know that was going to happen 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, nobody knew that. But like I said, though, it's just the idea of like, again, look, the only thing is, even though I saw like while watching like 4K and State with young you okay?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm fine. Allergies.
Yeah, look, I know Young Rip at 5'9". Again, go check out 4K and Sake, everyone who's still watching. Great guy. I wish I could also have him on Talking Pinheads in a way. But the idea that if you really don't want to have the burden of having children, the simple thing is don't even engage in doing the dirty. Don't engage in it.
Yep.
Or if you're really that dead set, you use protection. But of course, people aren't really thinking about it. Even though in Western society, it is 100% fairly inexpensive. You can go and get one. You can even find some at a corner store. So there's a small section where they have those. Just a little small section where they keep all the medicine too.
Yep.
So it's just not all you. It's really there's no real thing you should be really doing and really engaging. The whole point of it is more or less to basically bring up the next generation, and two, because it's more about connecting two people together. It's all that's more or less what it's all. That's all what it's been for centuries. Even no matter what sort of even if you're going by simple Judeo-Christian values, that's basically what the sanctity of the union of marriage is. And now it's just it's become bureaucratic, and now it's just a contract.
Yep, exactly.
But back to the story. It turns out that the Krill are obviously having their elections, and of course the chick who infiltrated the Orville after Ed and Gordon essentially infiltrate the Krill's ranks. She essentially gets political power and ultimately becomes the new chancellor of Krill.
Mm-hmm.
And the old chancellor is automatically executed for trying to broker peace with the Union. And I cannot believe the fact that intimate night that Ed and this Krill chick had, she ended up conceiving a child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this child is 100% a half breed.
And just a side note, the actress who plays the chancellor, and as ex-lover, the Krill ex-lover, she's actually passed away since then.
I thought
that was what that member on the front of the show was. I looked it up because I wanted to see who it was.
I thought that was one of the ambassador ladies that passed
No,
away.
that was the actress who played her.
Wow, and I know, I know she was one of those people, one of those chicks that was again showed that bisexual that lesbian kiss in Deep Space Nine. That obviously once again. Even back in the late 90s, that was more progressive, but nowadays we have people trying to reinvent the wheel here and whatnot. So it's not all this stuff is not really special anymore. But yeah, it's all that. Okay, Faye, we're kind of done talking about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I know. I hope we didn't you didn't hear any spoilers from it.
No, I went and got my phone off the charger and checked it and got something to drink. Man, kind of watched.
Okay. Yeah. Good deal.
Sorry, I didn't want to spoil. I didn't know you hadn't seen it yet, so
I got up to watch it this morning and got sidetracked. So I'm gonna watch it after this.
Yeah. Okay. But the whole thing is that whole thing about that whole thing is good. And I know, like I said, we all know that when we have good entertainment, it's great. I know sometimes when having to tackle a social issue is good when you look at it. When you try to look at maybe if you do it from trying to look at it from both sides, but you make one side look bad or the other, obviously you might end up pissing somebody off, one side or the other off. But
that's entertainment. That's normal entertainment. You know what I mean? Especially if you're going to produce something that's thought provoking.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but I know the thing is in one of the stories I'm working on, there is a character that is again, it kind of when I look at it, you kind of view this character as everything that is wrong with kind of modern relationships, people who want to engage in hookup culture and stuff like that don't really want to engage in being in an actual. Oh, hey, JT, if you want to join in on this, links right there in the chat.
Gotta give him props. He did my logo.
That brand new logo. That's amazing.
I like that logo.
It's great.
Yeah, he did my he did up my my Twitter and my YouTube page. So props to JD. Check him out. He's got a link in his Twitter for his graphics design company thing.
Wow, that's amazing. But
hey, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Faye. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask you, have you had a chance to watch any of the Strange New Worlds?
Again, I'm not much of a Star Trek fan.
I don't have. Is it Paramount?
Yeah, Paramount Plus. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have Paramount.
Okay, good for you. It's getting bad.
Yeah,
Nothing's drawing me over there. It is getting bad though.
It's starting to like it. I give them credit for keeping it episodic. Like it's not a continuous storyline like with Discovery, but it's the stories are getting weirder and weirder and weirder as the season has gone on.
Yeah. So. Okay, but but also a little kind of backtracking a little bit to Cowboy Bebop. The whole show is available on Tubi. So again, it's that one free streaming service. You just don't need anything to sign up for. You could binge watch all 26 episodes there, even though it may be leaving Hulu, but it's there. And also, I think it is on Netflix. The original show's on Netflix. I just hope it's not the 20 or like the damn live action one. But the original show is there on Tubi. But
I wonder if that's where they're moving everything. Then it's on the Tubi.
Yeah, I mean it's a free streaming service. So
yeah,
and again, they got a surprisingly great library of movies on there. Because I think it's made by the guy who I think it was made by somebody who was like previously like one of the CEO of Fox News Corporation, I think.
Yeah.
Who like owns it?
That's what I'm hearing.
Oh, the first few episodes of Strange New Worlds. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, the first couple were really good, and it's just like you can see the slide is just starting to happen.
Oh, yeah.
They're just starting to get weird.
They sucked you in with those first few
episodes. And now it's time. Now we're gonna put the whoop. Now we're gonna.
No, it's not. Well, that's the thing. It's not even. So far, they've kept it somewhat under control with that stuff, but the stories themselves, it's just been like not even. I don't even want to say it's Star Trek S. It's like it's so far removed from what we know as Star Trek. If you're a Star Trek fan, I mean, it's like it goes from what you want Star Trek, what you know Star Trek can be and should be, to what they're shooting for a modern day Star Trek. It's just not good.
They just want to wrap their warp engines around you and take off.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like it's like they're trying too hard. You know what I mean? It's like they're trying to tell these stories in what they think the old classic fans. Excuse me. they're trying to tell these stories like they want the fans, the old fans want to see, but they don't understand how to do it.
Yeah. Right. And that's what the Orville does. The Orville captures Star Trek, the essence of the original. And
and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to be the Orville, which is Star Trek, but they can't be Star Trek. They can't be the Orville because they're trying to be Star Trek.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically,
if that makes sense. It's like
the Orville is just,
you know what I mean?
It's better Star Trek. It's better Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's because the Orville has Star Trek people on it.
Yeah.
Producing it, directing it, doing all that stuff, writing it. And Strange New Worlds doesn't have that. It doesn't have that feel. So
yeah, I went back and watched Enterprise a few years ago because I never got to watch them all, and I was very interested when it dropped. And I had a good time watching it. It's even 15 years old, and I'm like, this is actually a pretty good series with Scott Bakula. And it's way better than anything new that the Discovery or anything like that.
Yeah, Enterprise probably may have been the last great Star Trek show before.
Yeah.
And before Alex Kurtzman and J.J. Abrams screwed it up.
Right.
Well, and I think Fate will agree with me. It's like, Star Trek died in 2009. At least for me, it did.
Yeah.
I think it died with Data when Data made the leap.
Yeah. Okay. I can agree with that.
Oh,
yeah.
you mean Star Trek Nemesis?
Yeah, because see, like he made the leap, and it was really his human moment. It was like he actually did something very human, and that was, sacrifice his life for everybody else. And I thought that was beautifully done. And that was, to me, that was the end of Star Trek.
Except we didn't know that was going to be the end of Star Trek.
Didn't know that. I didn't
now we have the horror of Frankenstein abomination that is Picard.
Until I pined for those days, I started thinking about that moment, and I was like, "Yeah, that's the last time Star Trek was alive. It died with Data."
I never thought I'd see the day when I wish that Quentin Tarantino would actually make his version of Star Trek.
Oh boy,
that's what I honestly wish, because if they're gonna kill Star Trek, at least do it with style.
Yeah, but I know
you know what I mean.
People like the Taika Waititis or the Quentin Tarantinos of the world. Yeah, you guys are better off doing your own movies rather than dabbling into
I agree with that.
Like Taika Waititi, I'm pretty sure movies like Jojo Rabbit's probably an amazing film, and the same thing with everything like the Kill Bill movies, Reservoir Dogs.
Did y'all see the new Thor trailer?
You know what now?
The new Thor trailer.
Every single time I go to the movie, I've gone to the movie theater in the last few weeks, seeing that thunder, I was like, that movie's gonna be god awful.
It looks bad. Like he's doing the splits. Did y'all see him do the splits, Thor?
I didn't see that. The only thing that made me want to cringe up, and of course I've gotten blocked because of pointing that double standard out on Twitter, was the whole thing where Thor is stripped naked, and of course it's supposed to be ha 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 funny, and of course Jane and Valkyrie are just sitting there like, okay, yeah, we're just gonna be casual about it, not really doing anything. He can handle himself.
Here, I'm gonna share this. I'm just gonna share this photo of Thor so you can see this is from the newest footage.
Okay, hang on.
I said this before, and I'll say it again. If you're going to use a female Thor, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, seriously? No. Okay, I'm sorry, but yeah, Chris Hemsworth, you are not Jean-Claude Van Damme. You are not him.
Neither is Thor.
Exactly, he isn't. Only person who can do the splits that well is
make it look cool.
Exactly.
Can somebody say computer generated?
Oh yeah. We found out. Yeah, her muscles actually were CGI'd. Her muscles were CGI'd.
I mean, let's be honest. I said this on Twitter too. I said, if we're going to do a female Thor, okay, but make it a believable female Thor, like a WWE or an AEW female wrestler that can do the job and that actually has the muscles that can throw people around. We've seen Sasha Banks do it in The Mandalorian. We've seen Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano, obviously, that can act and actually do stuff like this. Exactly, and they have the muscle built that can do it.
Yeah, we want strong, independent women, but we want women who have the look of supermodels. We want women who look like Cara Delevingne pulling that kind of stuff off. No. Cara Delevingne, if she was in that sort of role, I mean, if she was like in a where she was like dancing circles, I could kind of believe it. If she was like more of like an acrobatic fighter, I could believe it. But no, trying to be like she can stack up and fight someone blow for blow, that doesn't make any sense. Realistically, somebody who was like big, tall, and imposing, realistically would rip her in half.
Well, it's like I said, give me a female Thor that, if you're going to do this project, fine. But give me a female Thor that actually is an athlete that is believable, that can beat that can actually wield that act or that hammer and beat somebody up with it. Who actually physically looks like they can beat somebody up with it.
Exactly. Like you said, though, like Sasha Banks or Gina Carano or even Ronda Rousey. Yeah, those are the type of women you do not want to mess with. And heck, any ladies out there who are like a little bit bigger, yeah, that is a good. That's a look you can try to go for, ladies. If you're a much bigger lady out there, yeah, try to see if you can model your body after looking like theirs. They're tough and they're tough looking and imposing. And of course, Gina Carano is obviously a very likable lady. I mean, heck, like Geeks and Gamers obviously had another meetup with her in Dallas.
Yeah. Well, and I'm using them just as the fact that they already have the fighting background.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. Give me a woman who's an actress primarily because they're already a wrestler, or they had the MMA background to be is an actress anyway. Give me someone like that who's already believable because they beat people up for a living to begin with. They're already an athlete. And they're an actress essentially because they have to learn these lines half the time when they're in the ring to do promos. I'm sorry. Give me somebody like that. That's going to be a lot more believable to me versus Natalie Portman.
She's a wrestler. Jade Cargill.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's her as Storm. Dang, that's good.
It's real good.
I would buy her as Thor easily. I can buy her as Thor.
But you got Natalie Portman. Sure, she looked great, but she was only good because she was basically firing with a blaster. It made look. I can personally, and of course, seeing her in her midriff was also pretty good to look at too.
But you know, I mean, but that's the whole point. Like you got female athletes like that who are throwing people in and out and around in the ring, or beating people up in the ring in real life, and most of them are actresses anyway because they have to learn promos and do it on the fly in a second.
Exactly.
If they change
like, I wonder why no one doesn't want to give Alexa Bliss any like acting role.
Yeah, no, she's amazing.
She can. I mean, that girl can act. Just with her promos in itself, she can act.
Yeah, I'm surprised she doesn't do like a Harley Quinn shtick or something like that.
Well, I mean, isn't that basically what she's already doing? She already has the pink and
she did it towards the beginning of her career, like whatever her big first costumes was Harley Quinn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she based
in the beginning of her career, so she can easily pull it off.
Yeah.
But that's about it. But moving on to another sort of thing, we all know something is still brewing pretty well, and it is this. Yes, Top Gun Maverick is still dominating at the box office. Heck, I think even at my local theater, it's being played one more time for the weekend.
Did they hit $1 billion yet?
Oh, I think they're well past. I mean, let me look up the domestic gross for it. All right, box office gross.
And I knew they were getting close.
Yeah, it's past $500 million, and I know it's basically blown Lightyear out of the water, and no, I don't know how well it's really gonna like match up to like.
I think it's got another weekend before Thor.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's gonna blow past Thor. I mean, come on.
Yeah, people are still talking about it and still wanting to see this movie. But I know have you finally seen it?
I saw it. Yeah, the weekend of. I think it is edging. It's being edged out by Elvis, but Elvis probably doesn't have much legs. I've heard good things and bad things about Elvis, and.
The only thing I know
it's
about
barely being edged out about it by Elvis. So I think what we're going to see is Top Gun's going to clear $1 billion probably in the next week. By next weekend, it's going to have $1 billion, and because it's at 900 and something right now.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about the Elvis movie. Elvis fans are going to go see it, and people who are fans of bioepic movies are going to go see this movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not going to be one of those, it's a repeat movie. People are going to go see it over and over again.
Yeah.
Top Gun is a movie that people are seeing over and over and over again because they love the movie.
Exactly. And I think since it's still playing, I'm probably gonna go see it again tomorrow.
Thor is not going to be. I think people are going to go see it once, maybe twice, and then that's it. I don't see this movie. I see this movie fizzling out just like Doctor Strange did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see. Disney can't. Disney and Marvel just aren't hitting home runs right now.
Exactly. It's just like I mean, people are kind of just done with it. After the Infinity Saga. We're kind of just peated out by it. I mean, sure, people still. I mean, sure, we still had like far from No Way Home to deal with all that stuff, but I mean, it was still mostly a Sony production, and that's pretty much how we're gonna do it. But after that Titanic success of that, we kind of faltered back into faultiness with Morbius.
Well, here's the thing. I guarantee you, Disney and Marvel Studios are sitting there scratching their head, trying to figure out why did Spider-Man do so much better than Doctor Strange and any other Marvel movie that they set out right now. Because you guys didn't, because Sony produced the movie, not Disney. You know what I mean? It wasn't full of your BS woke politics, and people wanted to see Spider-Man.
Exactly. I mean, come on. He is like I mean, even though people were kind of worried about the Batman, but people still saw it because it's a Batman movie.
Yeah. And to be fair to Batman, to the Batman, it wasn't a bad movie. It was just a long movie.
Yeah, it was too long, honestly.
You know? And that reason in the sequel, they're gonna have to cut that movie down to 2 hours.
Yeah,
I don't think a 3-hour movie was necessary. So
yeah, a movie that's like 3 hours long. The only movie that could ever pull that off is probably the Lord of the Rings movies. Maybe
it's got to be a huge cast. You know what I'm saying? Like they really have to have a reason why they got to make their rounds on like every character, so they can. It's like Endgame, right? Endgame had a lot of moving parts. This is just Batman running around Gotham trying to solve crimes. No different than like Clint Eastwood trying to find out who's going to assassinate whoever, you know, in the line of fire or something like that. You know, it's just like, it's not like rocket science with Batman.
Well, and let's be fair to, and here's the other thing. Batman, all the other Batman movies combined, I don't think you would ever could have gotten a 3-hour movie out of any of them. I'm even talking about The Dark Knight Rises, and Batman Begins. I don't even know if no one would have wanted to do a 3-hour epic like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if he did, I think they would have gone so fast because the story always was moving. And you didn't notice it. This movie, you noticed the story. The story was so slow.
Yeah.
Like it was so brooding, so slow, so it was a good story. The acting was decent. It was just not. It was just there's so many moments of that movie was not necessary. A lot of that could have been in the director's cut.
It's like you sit down at a real nice restaurant, and you order all this food because you see everything looks good on the menu, and you only eat like maybe like a portion of something and then half of something else, and then you got all this leftovers.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just like like Top Gun Maverick, man, was a good meal. It's like you go in, you order fast food, you got fast food, and it was some of the best burgers you've ever eaten.
Yeah, for me, it would be just eating a good sandwich at Subway.
Yeah, I mean, it really was just is exactly what I needed at the moment. It was escapism, and it was edge of the seat. Somebody mentioned they loved every minute of it. I would definitely say that there were times when I was like, okay, but I actually forgot about the bad stuff because it was so good. There was like little things that I could have nitpicked. Like, of course, there's a F-14 Tomcat. I know they mentioned it early in the movie.
Yeah, I know they did have a few surplus, but I think the best part was the daring escape they made in it. Like again, it even showed that even against like a Gen 5 fighter like the SU-50, like the SU-57. Yeah, it showed that even that old relic still has some teeth.
but it also like unlike like Obi-Wan Kenobi, Maverick was way more dangerous in that F-14 than that Gen 5 fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like
the F-18 Hornets.
Yeah,
Well,
he was very competent as a pilot in general. That it's too scary to be in the air with him.
Well, when you
that's
put
the whole thing.
it's like putting a pilot into a new plane. Well, okay, he's going to be able to fly the plane, but when you put him into his old familiar territory or old familiar,
even though he says it's been a while since I've flown this baby,
and it's like, oh, I can, and it comes back. It's like riding a bike; you don't forget.
Yeah, exactly. And to that, I will say everything that we've all been talking about so far, it's for this.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that's basically the whole thing. And yeah, I mean, this movie, it really is something, especially if you're a fan, if you love like seeing like aviation, Air Force, and of course, like you see with my icon there, yeah, I'm a bit of an aviation nut. And I want to give a shout out to the Crash Project for creating this for me many years ago, and I still use it all the time. He's done Titanfall videos. He even did like some crazy montage projects and even like fly arounds for Titanfall maps a long time ago. He's still putting out Titanfall content, but it's on PC though. So go check him out. Hang on one second. Let me look up his channel really quickly. And I can find him.
Real quick, Sparks, I want to give a shout out to my cell phone camera for taking the picture that you're seeing right now.
Oh
yeah.
Since everybody was getting a shout out to everybody else.
Yeah.
I may have to look into that.
Hey, this way you can see me and I don't have to be on camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great avatar.
Copy and there you go. Here, comments. And okay, go check out the Crash Project. Real great guy. He really deserves your subscription.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's been, because again, like we all know that this movie is still gonna like dominate at least for another week. But I know still but I'm not sure how it's gonna stack up to how Minions is going to stack up to it. But I know it's just that film you drop your kids off and you go when you're gonna go see an actual movie you want to go see.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Like, Spider-Man was a comic movie. Spider-Man: No Way Home. Sonic was a movie that was made for the gaming fans or the gamers. Top Gun is a movie that is the sequel that we were promised or that we wanted 30 years ago, and now it's here. This is the first real mainstream movie that people had forgotten about 10, 15, 20 years ago. And now all of a sudden we got it. And this was made with probably one of the current greatest Hollywood actor of our time.
Yeah.
And this is the one that broke the woke Hollywood rules with a genuine Hollywood star, and it's making $1 billion.
Exactly.
Because the fans are continuing to see it because there's no woke politics in it. This should show these idiots in Hollywood that if you give us something that we want to watch, we're going to go pay and see it. It won't, but it should.
Exactly the point. I mean, but like seriously, why do we need to be lectured down? Yeah, and as a person who looks like I do, yeah, I kind of feel like, yeah, you're talking to me like I'm a complete idiot or something. Like, yeah, this is something that's supposed to address like this is supposed to be addressed toward me. Like, yeah, you need to like either treat me better. No, I don't need you to treat me better or anything. Either treat me better, or you don't talk to me at all. If you are a jerk to me, avoid me at all costs. I'll do the same for you.
Well,
It's
you're
just that.
Denzel Washington's son. I mean, come on.
Oh man, I'm not gonna let me one down, but still, yeah, no, but we just do not like to be preached to about be saying, oh, this is for you. You don't need to be treating everyone right. I mean, it's kind of crazy how that movie Get Out seemed like it was like, but even though it basically kind of feels like it was like some weird, crazy pandering or whatever. But this is from Key and Peele, or Keegan or Jordan Peele, but he should just focus on doing comedy, not like these weird, like horror projects he's trying to do.
Yeah,
I
agree. Yeah, he's every once in a while. I mean, he proved he could do it once, right? But like,
yeah, but that I know us thing. It's like it's kind of I don't really understand the whole point of it though.
This one looks like it's even weirder, and like the thing is like you get into you get into this spiral, kind of like M. Night Shyamalan, and then it's just like, can you get out of it?
Yeah, but even then, I didn't understand. Even one of Shambles on one of his more recent films. Oh, it didn't make a lot of sense either because but the thing is, we kind of expected what the heck that weird twist was. But yeah, but again, it's just like, they somehow are, I don't know, it's like somehow they couldn't escape from it or whatever. And just again, it's just weird that every minute is the equivalent of like 7 years on that weird beach that they were on.
Oh, I never watched that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Older or something like that?
Yeah, it was just old. Yeah.
Old.
It was weird. But yeah, no, the thing is trying to make I'm trying to veer into another territory. I mean, if you've already like worked on that sort of thing and just like you veer into something, like veer into another territory, it's not always gonna really translate well. Sometimes, I mean, the only time I think like the Green Mile was like, or the Shawshank Redemption is something that's it was maybe a little different from what Stephen King had written before, because again, he's more well known for horror than he is like more simple dramatic stories.
Yeah.
Well, here with Stephen King, he was, or I should say, is a writer that had already established himself as one of the, and I think this is safe to say, one of the greatest horror writers of all time.
Yes.
So for him to say, oh, okay, I want to try maybe a different, suspenseful story or two, I think it's safe to say he could do that and try to get away with it. And he did with The Green Mile and The Shawshank Redemption. So for him to do that and got away with it, that was like, okay, cool. He did it, but he never forgot that his roots were horror. He never forgot that. Where a lot of these authors and writers are like, oh, I'm just going to leave my roots behind and just explore everything else and be like, and totally forget that what made them famous to begin with. So,
I mean, yeah, well, for me, being the writer I'm trying to be, like I said, again, the only type of like stories I want to the only type of genres I really feel like I could dabble into, and I kind of feel like I could try to do them as completely as I can, are horror, science fiction, and romance. Even then, there could be just like there would just be some bits of romantic subplot in some of these stories, and just have like some of these elements sort of like interwoven a little bit at points in these stories, but. Other than that, it's just like, again, it's a pure sort of thing, like just mainly just those three genres.
Right, but Jets, you're not gonna establish yourself as one particular writer for like say 10, 20 years and have a bestseller based on those particular genres. Thank you. And then go around and then turn around and make a 180 and say, oh, I'm going to run a comedy story or
Yeah,
write
no, I mean,
a,
look,
you know
if
what I
you're
mean, and
gonna,
try
if you're gonna,
and then all of a sudden change to that genre for the next 20 years or 10 years
yeah, I
and
wouldn't
just
say
do
I
that
wouldn't say
straight
do
through
that.
and forget about your roots. You know what I mean? You're not going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. Just delve into one type of genre. It's like maybe just a one-off thing.
Yeah,
But
one
other
off
than
is
that,
one
just
thing.
don't forget the roots of something I want to do, which is again, sci-fi, horror, and romance are kind of like the main things. But the only type of story that is a pure romance story is mostly also has a lot of elements of science fiction in it, and it is set in the same universe as my superhero Madame Opus story, which also again at its core is pure science fiction too in many ways.
Right. But like I say, you're not gonna go off and make you're like when you become successful in your genres that you're going to be writing in. 20 years down the road, you're not going to be like, okay, well, I've done with this genre that I've been doing for 20 years that made me successful. You're not going to turn around and say, well, okay, well, now I'm going to write comedy for a living.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
just
You're
like
gonna,
again, I wouldn't expect myself to.
You might do a one-off or here or there,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
You're not gonna switch a 100. You're not gonna do a 180 and switch it all the way around either.
Exactly, and that's kind of the whole point. Because, like I said, the horror story I'm working on is again, it is still just gonna be a multi-part. We lost him again.
Oh my god.
Oh no! Geez, we're really losing Fell here in the on Talking Pinheads this week.
The fell again.
That'll come back to us. We miss you already. And he's back.
For the fell. There he is.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's cool. But yeah, like I said though, it is still like again, it's just like a multi-year story. And I mean, again, the characters. And again, I'm always a person that likes the idea of having serialized storytelling because I've never been like often for the type of person like just trying to make something episodic where the status quo still stays the same in a way.
Right.
But that's kind of the whole thing though, because in this horror story, the characters do grow up and change. And I mean, people who start out one way, I mean, you could say some characters will go in the complete opposite direction. They start out maybe a good person, but they can become colder or a lot more darker and more like emotionless as the story progresses on. And other characters become more who start off like more rebellious and they become a little more compassionate by the end. It's always that stranger thing because sometimes like the classic hero's journey is you build a character up. They start out as nothing, they fumble a lot in their story, and then as they build up they become the ultimate, they become the total badass that they trained up to be.
Right.
And sometimes, but like I said, in Star Wars, it was the reverse. We saw Anakin Skywalker's rise as an up and coming Jedi, but he grows arrogant over the time, and then eventually he falls. And that's basically the gist of how great storytelling goes, and that's always the better part of it. Is why I definitely feel that writing is my destiny, is in a sense, and I never want to stop that. But again, you still have to face the problems that every writer has to face. And I'm pretty sure we already know George R.R. Martin essentially already pretty much has dealt with this for the last 7 years, hasn't he? How
George R.R. Martin gave up. That's what happened. Let's face reality.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I see.
I mean, let's be honest. He doesn't want to write The Winds of Winter. He really doesn't.
Oh no, not at all.
He doesn't want to write it. If he did, he would have had it done by now. He had the entire pandemic to actually write it and get it done. He didn't want to write it. He doesn't want to write
it. But you know what Obi-Wan always says to Luke, right, in The New Hope?
Yes. Let's see. Whenever in doubt, be foolish for several years.
Yeah.
Yeah, just give up for a
whenever,
little while.
but also another thing that happens. But we could also say that for all the people who are like very with the hive-minded mentality we have in Hollywood. Who's the bigger fool? The fools or the fool or the fools who follow him?
Yeah, that's true too. That's true too.
Yeah. Poor Obi-Wan gave up for 10 years, and then Luke decided to give up for 6 years.
Yeah, again, how far?
I mean, trillions of people's lives were lost in the Star Killer base, destroying like umpteen planets. Pretty amazing.
The problem is there isn't trillions of lives depending on whether or not Martin is going to finish the Winds of Winter. It's trillions of dollars for him.
The millions and billions he can make from all of that. But again, we all need to do this because I know writer's block is a big problem. Writer's block is a big problem for any writer, but I know that's personally what I know I deal with. But like I said, I have my stories mapped out in my head how they're supposed to play out. But again, just putting them down is always the harder part. But again, you got to just persevere through it and try to power through it and try to use the right wording and also try to make it flow well enough. That's just the key thing. And I mean, even though I may be a novice at writing, but hey, even I recognize that.
Well, yeah. But here's the thing, though. You're a beginner at this, Jets. That's the whole thing. Like, you have millions. You probably have more notes about your stories than George R. R. Martin has about the Winds of Winter.
I mean,
I'm half joking about it, but it's probably true. I guarantee you right now, you probably have more notes about your stories than he does about the Winds of Winter because he's got all these other projects that he's working on right now. He probably his stories, the Winds of Winter is probably at the very bottom of his list right now.
Yeah, isn't that the conclusion of Game of Thrones? Isn't that what everybody's
I think
about?
so. I think that's what it's supposed to be, yeah.
Like, I think like with a lot of people, it's just, we dare you to write that ending now. And less of we're waiting for you to read that story, because I ain't waiting to read that story. I read the first 3 or 4 books, I believe, until they diverged. I can't remember, it's like book 4 and 5 diverged, and the characters were split up into 2 separate books. And that's when I stopped reading it. But it wasn't long after that when they started the series, and it was everything that I had imagined in those books. I thought they did an excellent job, and I was very impressed with Game of Thrones. And then it started falling off, obviously, where he stopped writing. And now it's like, why would he want to follow that up with like he would have wrote something better?
Well, here's the thing. I think a part of it, and this is where I don't necessarily blame him for continuing it. HBO and the producers and of Game of Thrones from season 6 on, royally screwed it up, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. So, in a way, you're right. You're right, because why would he want to write the conclusion to this?
Yeah, just hire somebody at this point.
Because his conclusion, the ending, is going to be way better than what the TV series was. But no one cares at this point because the show is completely ruined. What he probably had in mind to begin with.
Yeah.
But I want to show you guys a little excerpt here.
Okay.
This is from one of the stories I'm writing right now. But this is a pretty. Just read what's highlighted here, and you probably are going to be pretty surprised about something pretty horrific here. Let me see if I can let me try to zoom in a bit.
Yeah.
All right, can you see it?
Yeah.
Oops, sorry. I think I kind of messed that up. Not really. Okay, it's still there. Trying to alternate it back. Oh, sorry. There we go. Now, again, this is dealing with essentially the character who's essentially almost like the antagonist of at least of this story, because this is supposed to be like a third. This is supposed to be told in like 3 parts. Because again, you're actually sort of like this is sort of because again throughout the story, I kind of dropped tidbits about the character in question, who is you're kind of like talking about here, this character Riley. But you can still see it, right? Hello? Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, from what you can see here, yeah, this is a pretty horrific scene. This is a pretty horrific.
Did Emery die?
Essentially, yes. The last words he said, and his eyes rolled in the back of his head, and the color quickly drained from his face. Yep, that is true. That is something. Yeah, essentially, this character kills him using psychic powers.
Mind drilled him, man.
Yeah, mind migraine.
Oh.
Yeah, but from
I've had. Trust me, I have those. It's not fun.
Yeah, that darkness thing. Yeah, but also showing there's a lot more things more about this character that really is really screwed up. And you're gonna and when you find out why the reason this character is the way he is, you're gonna eventually kind of feel a little sorry for the guy. Just wanted to show that off, and hopefully, I know I'm showing everyone a little bit of what I am working on.
See, this right here, you're doing better than J.R.R. Martin right now.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
exactly.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, because I mean, what you're seeing here is that again, this character, the 2 characters he's hallucinating are in fact dead, and he's just seeing these dark perversions who are basically telling him off. But the other one is basically trying to appeal to his conscience and telling him that what you're doing is wrong. There's still time for you to stop all this. But
it's the battle of the consciences, or conscience. Rather.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're gonna find out who these 2 people he's having hallucinations are about, and how they fit into everything, how they fit into why he feels the way about them as well, and you're also going to understand further about what happened to them as well. It's even more gripping, because you also understand that this character, again, I really see this character as a very tragic character in a way, and I think there's actually 2 of them in both these stories, because both this and my superhero story are actually set in the same universe. And like I said, it's supposed to be like the ending of this story is supposed to be the ripple effects of the ending.
I like it.
Yeah, I do too.
I like it.
Yep.
Yeah, but like I said, say again.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
So that's kind of basically how it really is playing out, though, and I really just feel proud of everything I've written so far. And I know I've already completed the first story, but with that being said, everyone, I'm really glad that you guys showed up and had time to talk.
Yeah.
But we're gonna wind things down here. So first off, we're gonna talk to you, Fade. Got anything you want to plug first?
Just check me out on YouTube, Amen Fate, AMENFATE, and also follow me on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok.
Okay, and also, Fel, where can everyone reach you at?
Hey guys, I'm over on Twitter, the Fel369. That's really all I'm on. Just make sure, please be respectful as I am to everybody on there. That if you follow me, I'm going to be respectful to you. Please keep in mind that everybody's opinion matters. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what you believe, what you vote for, who you vote for. Everybody's opinions matter. Just remember that.
Yeah.
So be respectful to everybody.
Exactly. Words to live by. And with that being said, everyone, like I said, thank you all for tuning in, and may God and the Force be with you always. Peace out.
Peace out.
Later.